forms of mapping. But for instance, on this cruise, we mapped a seamount that was estimated, had an estimated depth. And when we did our detailed mapping of that seamount, the depth at the summit was actually about 800 meters less deep than our previous estimate. So when we are not able to launch the ROVs, we are doing mapping from the ship. We have very sophisticated multi-beam mapping that you can learn more about on our website. And no moment is wasted here out at sea. If we can't dive with the ROVs or we're not turning the ROVs around for another dive, then we have that multi-beam sonar on and we are mapping the seafloor to get these high resolution maps. We can't send the ROVs down without a high quality map. The lack of mapping is not due to a lack of technology. It's just due to how big the ocean is. The ocean is big, y'all. And there are just not a lot of ships out there to do this kind of work. And so the mapping work is planned out years in advance to get the areas of most concern. And in this case, it's these seamounts in Papahanaumokuakea Marine Monument. And so we will be mapping them on this cruise, and the next cruise, which begins, I believe, December 8th, we will swap out some of our crew and some of our science crew, and they will just be doing mapping on that cruise. They will not be doing any ROV exploration. Oh, great question. I don't know if Kate's on SPL, but we got a question for you, Kate.
Oh, I'm still not talking.
There you
Sorry.
go. Yeah, we got a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
I keep hearing bridge nav. What does that mean?
That's just the radio communication for reaching the officer on the bridge. So I reach them with bridge, and then I state who I am, nav, bridge, nav, and then they respond, nav, bridge.
And we don't hear the bridge talking. Only you hear the bridge talking, right?
That is correct. So with our radio system, I have direct communications with the bridge, but you guys do not, and we don't put the bridge over SPL.
All right. There's a lot of jargon on the streams, and some of our loyal viewers have been watching for years, and they know what all that means. But if you're just coming across us, someone yesterday asked, you keep talking about SPL. What's this SPL? And that's my favorite acronym we use here. It stands for the Science Party Line. Oh, great question here about, does anyone know how long it would take to map the remaining 80% of the seafloor if a ship were to do this 24/7? There is a goal to map the remaining oceans by 2030. I'm just going to look up that website really quick. So there, if you go to seabed2030.org, you can learn about that project. It's not just the Nautilus that's engaging in this effort. There are other exploration ships that are engaging in this seabed 2030 goal. And you can go to that website, seabed2030.org, to learn about all of the vessels that are doing this work. You can get involved. There's some news and videos and information about how we're doing as we approach that goal. So I can't answer your specific question about if we had a ship out all the time, but I do know that with all the ships that are doing this work, 2030 is the goal. Great question. there's a fish in the Herc view. I think that's the Zeus cam. Oh, little eel. Do we ever see man-made debris on the floor? Yes, we do. I know of 3 instances on this expedition. I don't know if my SPL mates know of more.
Yeah, I remember we saw that net a few dives ago. That was the biggest piece of debris.
Yeah, we saw a green fishing net. We've also seen one bottle and a 7-Up can that they used the logo to date to the 70s. It was a pull tab can, and some areas we do see more floating and debris on the bottom, but on this expedition we have only seen those 3 pieces. All right, thanks for sticking with us. We are on our 9th or 10th dive on this expedition. Taking a brief pause for some surface operations. Keep your questions coming in at nautiluslive.org. Usually we have a lot of time for questions when we're in what we call the blue water part of a dive, which if you're watching the quad view or sat feed 1 or 2, you know why we call it the blue water part of the dive. We're not within sight of the ocean floor. Not sure if front row is on SPL, but we're getting a question about...
yeah, we're listening.
Yeah, so is there any research into creating untethered ROVs, or is that too sci-fi?
Too bad Antonella's not here.
Sorry, I missed it. I heard untethered ROVs, but I missed that.
Yeah, so the question from a viewer is there any research into creating untethered ROVs, or is that too sci-fi?
Oh, it's they're all over the planet. That's typically called an AUV, or an autonomous underwater vehicle.
You're not on SPL, Gabby.
Yeah, and so recently on a technology cruise, which you can see the info on our website, we had the Woods Hole vehicle out here. The name of the vehicle is NUI. I'm not sure what that stands for.
It stands for Nereid Under Ice.
Yeah, it was autonomous. And we did a technology demonstration where we had a optical modem on Argus and an optical modem on NUI, and they communicated through the optical modem, and we actually got video, and they were able to operate NUI untethered.
Think of it as underwater Wi-Fi.
Well, it's the flashy light bit was really interesting when it's susceptible to some of the wavelengths from some of the lights on Argus and not others. Interestingly enough, it was susceptible to the LED wavelengths.
Oh, no kidding.
So the big boomers, as we call them, the lights that are lighting up Hercules right now are giant LED lights. So we turned those off, and we had a small incandescent light, which is an older school light that's still on Argus to look at our gauges and such. But you could see the optical modem blinking away as kind of a purple blinky blink.
So I think they were also testing out the Mesobot as well on that cruise, that technology cruise that happened earlier this year off the coast of California.
Yeah, correct. Also autonomous.
During Thanksgiving, we were talking about writing haikus that we could share on Blue Water. I don't know if I can remember mine, but I feel like Gabby would be really good at this exercise.
You could write some haikus about the eventual use of these untethered autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, and I think it goes 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Is that correct?
And if you work Nerid under ice into your haiku, you get bonus points. You can find information about that cruise, which was NA134. Just go to our website, nautiluslive.org, and click on Expedition. You can learn all about those. Are they still considered experimental, or are they in the, is this like their sea testing phase?
Because they're scientific vehicles, they're custom-built vehicles by Woods Hole, so if it was analogy to an aircraft, yeah, it would be experimental. But there's tons of autonomous underwater vehicles that are used for mapping and used in both science and commercial. There's a company in Vancouver that's built a lot of the components on Herc that also does autonomous underwater vehicles. I believe the Monterey Bay Research Aquarium Institute has, did I say that right? MBARI has one or two of the ISC AUVs.
And I'm getting a correction here from a viewer. Thanks so much. The next cruise, which starts December 8th and goes to December 20th, it does include ROV dives as well. So you will have your SPL engaging in these explorations, but they will be doing a significant amount of mapping work for that next cruise, which begins December 8th. All of our operations for the remainder of the dive season are here near Hawaii in Papahanaumokuakea Marine Monument. What's it like being on the boat when mapping? Well, it makes a weird noise below decks. You can hear the multi-beam sonar pinging. It sounds like a bird chirping or perhaps a shoe squeaking on a gym floor. So if your cabin, I'm not sure if any of you can hear that sonar in your cabin. I cannot.
You can hear it in the data lounge.
Yeah. But when we are mapping, we go in very straight lines, generally across an advantageous position for the swell if possible, because the less the ship is moving, the more accurate the mapping can be and the wider accurate stretch of mapping we can do on one pass. So it's generally okay as far as the motion of the boat when we're mapping. And we are not doing live dives, so we have more time to get our other jobs done. Thanks for your question.
Stephen, do you have any haiku about wood ducks? No?
Andrea is looking for a haiku.
Everybody, nobody likes the haiku except for me, and I can't even remember mine.
So another question for the front row here. Have any of you been involved in work with manned submersibles rather than ROVs?
Manned submersibles?
Yeah.
What are those?
You know, they put people inside and send them down there.
Are you serious?
I've heard about, I think I read a book about it.
What if you have to pee?
Yeah, right? It's a big problem. Have any of you done any work on any cruises where they are sending humans down?
I haven't.
Yeah, I've been aboard Atlantis with Alvin and hung around the Pisces vehicles there at Hurl a little bit. One of our electrical engineers that is regular on the crew, was spent 20 years as an Alvin pilot. And believe it or not, our deck foreman used to be a swimmer for Alvin back in the 80s, I believe.
Wow.
When he was a young lad.
Yeah, I think Chris Kelly did some of those dives as well. He's aboard Dr. Sponge here aboard our expedition. He's done some of that work as well.
Sorry, Bridge, say again. Roger.
Looks like he's moving back a little, back south. Is that possible?
Yeah, we called a south move in.
But then he just said he's holding position for the moment? Okay.
I've got a wood duck haiku.
Oh, you got one?
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah, I that was not clear to me either.
Wood ducks on the ice.
He's moving south.
Oh, hold on. Hold, Steve. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry, Steve is still working on his haiku. We'll get that to you some other time. So we got one more question that we're going to address here, and then we might take a brief pause. Question about lava tubes. Have we found any lava tubes or caves along these seamounts? This is the first time diving on this seamount, which is Euphemia Seamount here in Papahanaumokuakea Marine Sanctuary. We have seen some evidence of some lava tubes, which we haven't seen the lava tubes themselves, but some evidence of mineral and rock formations that may have formed in that situation. And we found, I don't know if we'd call it a cave, but we found some small grottos on earlier dives that we could see, just very, very small little grottos that had some lovely corals growing in them. So thanks for your questions, friends. We're going to take a brief pause here for some surface side shipboard operations, but we will hope to get back to you soon. Stay tuned on nautiluslive.org or on our YouTube channel. Keep your questions coming in. We are going to keep the questions open, so keep those questions coming in, and we will be back with you as soon as these topside operations are sorted out. Thanks so much, and thanks for hanging in there with us, friends.
So do you have the plankton nets deployed there, Gammy?
We're off it.
Did you copy that back there, Kim?
Yes.
This is so cool. Whole different ridge. Yes, it was 1972. Hey, Emil, I can't hear you.
We should be on the seafloor in 17 minutes then.
Oh, okay. Yep, that sounds about right. Go ahead. Thank you for that update. We're going to hold the ship. We are lowering the ROVs back to the seafloor. And then we'll start our moves again. I estimate about 15 to 20 minutes. Copy. Bridge, nav. Is this a good heading for you, or do you want to rotate headings?
All right. Thanks so much for hanging in there with us, friends, as we had to
Copy. You'll move to 090.
Surface side operations. We're back now with you on SPL.
Bridge is going to switch their heading to directly east 090. No,
we're in the process of...
It isn't. But it has been moving around, like their little forces telling them what to do for heading.
We're in the process of lowering the ROVs back to the seafloor. After that, pause in operations to get back to exploring on Euphemia Seamount here in Papahanaumokuakea Marine Monument. Keep those questions coming in.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Nope.
Oh, we're good. Yeah. I think maybe something good will come out of this little evolution.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot happening on that other ridge, so
maybe we'll discover the megalodon, which we got a couple of questions about in the chat.
I think we're going to see something fantastic.
looks pretty steep here.
Well, and at the bottom here, we might see some rubble piles of gravity helping us break up some rocks and getting some fresh rocks. So that could be another bonus.
So we're getting a blue water question. And I don't remember ever getting this question before. So I'm interested to see what the pilots and science has to say. If there was a big enough earthquake or landslide and a tsunami wave resulted, would the ROVs be in any sort of danger? Would they be able to detect the energy from that tsunami wave? Like, what would it be like if an energy from a tsunami wave passed through while we were diving? It's a great question.
I bet Emil knows the answer.
Oh, okay. I was reading the science chat, but if I understood correctly, what would happen if a tsunami wave passed by while we're out here?
Yeah.
We would not notice it at all, probably. We've got 5-foot swell out there, and the tsunami would probably be smaller than that in deep water. It's a disturbance that affects the whole water column, but in deep water, it's a very small displacement of the surface wave.
And we're far enough away from any fault that would create a tsunami.
That's true.
That travel distance was
we should be landing around 2,000 meters. 1972 is the measurement I took in the Fledermaus about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, so when that energy gets focused into a shallower depth, then things get interesting.
That was a great question.
I was on the research vessel Sona once with an ROV, and we were poking around in a caldera somewhere between New Zealand and Fiji. And there was a very loud double bang on the hull. Sounded like someone dropped a big weight on the back deck. It reverberated through the whole ship. And minutes later, the captain just took off 7 knots with the vehicle in the water.
Whoa.
Oh.
And of course, the ROV crew kind of freaked out and called the bridge. What are you doing? What are you doing? You need to slow down. We have the pole down. And he said, well, forget about your pole and forget about the ROV. There was a major earthquake below us. I'm out of here.
Oh, wow.
When was that, Dan?
So there was some eruption or something. I think it was an eruption, a lava flow or something, but it made a very loud bang on the boat, and the captain decided to vacate the neighborhood with the ROV and the pole down at 7 knots.
Wow.
Gabby, you're not on SPL.
Yeah, he was afraid. I think he was afraid of a gas plume or
okay. Oh, something changing the density of the water
underneath the vessel. Yeah. So he made tracks and
yeah.
dragged the ROV, and it didn't bend the pole, but it was we hung on.
How many years ago was that?
Oh, this was must have been, I don't know. So that would have been I don't know,
But as well, a major release of volcanic gases could be a problem. That could change your buoyancy and sink a ship. Yeah,
more of an issue than a tsunami wave. But thanks for that great question.
How many turtles were you going in flight?
15 and a half.
But as Sarah pointed out, we are far from any sort of major, there's some rumblings, I guess, when the volcanoes on Hawaii are getting active, but that's pretty localized.
I want to give a shout out to a viewer from Portugal who is listening in. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your comment on our chat feature on our website, nautiluslive.org. Thanks so much.
So your first hint of returns is Argus sonar.